Well, it's time to turn or to see how this new microphone sounds. Got this Rode NT2-A. I also have a preamp amplifier mic and a Focusrite USB device. But I got this preamp. It's a DBX286S. It's a microphone preamp, and it's got an expander gate, an enhancer, a de-esser as they call it. Some nice features. You can really block out the background noise like nicely, and that's on the expander / gate section. And this thing sits inside of a rack, like normally it could sit in a rack, but you can also just let it sit on the desktop, which I'm doing. And it was damaged. One of the ears for where it would mount to a rack is bent. Not a big deal. I got it on eBay, cheaper than new. But it does not appear that the expander / gate, which gets rid of all the background noise, is working properly. So anyways, I contacted them. This item is defective. So I just bought a new one on Amazon. Said the hell with it. And while they're giving me a refund for this one, I'll get the other one coming. Set that baby up. But for the meantime, this mic will in fact plug into this little Focusrite deal. And I am using that for now. So if there's a little background noise, I have to tell you, sorry about your luck. I apologize for the next couple of days. But I don't think there will be. It should be good to go. So Illinois, again, talk about a broke state. If from what I understand, states can't really file bankruptcy per se, at least not yet. But boy, do they owe some serious money. I'm talking billions and billions of dollars owed to contractors, subcontractors, etc. And if you think the pension plans are ultimately getting screwed, again, I don't think you ain't seen nothing yet. Now, I'm gonna have to look at some of this because there might be some laws in here that basically say, well, before you can pay out on those pensions, you've got to pay your other bills like contractors and whatnot. So you're gonna have to do an IOU to the pensioners. I'm not. We may be finding out here shortly. A couple articles one from Zero Hedge and one from APnews.com. Official warns. This is AP News. Official warns Illinois finances in massive crisis mode. Listen, when an quote unquote official says this is massive crisis mode, you know something's wrong. Because normally they're coming out here to tell you everything's fine, everything's cool, everything's good. We got funding out the out the rear end. During the 2.5 years Illinois has gone without a state budget, the previously little-known Office of Comptroller has had the unbelievable job of essentially sitting at the kitchen table trying to figure out how to pay the bills. Like any household, there are some items that must be paid first. A mix of state law, court orders, and pressure from credit ratings agencies require Illinois to make its debt and pension payments, for example, and issue state worker paychecks and some money for schools. Okay. Now, Comptroller Susana Mendoza is warning that new court orders in lawsuits filed by state suppliers that are owed money mean her office is required to pay out more than Illinois receives in revenue each month. That means there would be no money left over for so-called discretionary spending, a category that in Illinois includes school buses, domestic violence shelters, and some ambulance services. Oh well, this is gonna get good, isn't it? I don't know what part of we are in a massive crisis mode the General Assembly and the governor don't understand. This is not a false alarm, said Mendoza, a Chicago Democrat. The magic tricks run out after a while, and that's where we're at. See, when I come out here and talk about all this stuff, when the Fed, well, they, 2008-9, it happened. That was, 8 years ago, man. They could just keep doing it, can't they? Nothing, I don't see some big collapse happening. Let me repeat what Miss Mendoza, a Chicago Democrat, just said. Again, she runs the, what is this? Comptroller. The magic tricks run out after a while, and that's where we're at. So the magic tricks quantitative easing 1, QE2, QE3, QE4, stock buybacks, mortgage-backed security garbage, $4.5 trillion balance sheet of the Federal Reserve. The magic trick runs out after a while, and that's where we're at, she said. It's a new low even for a state that's seen its financial situation grow increasingly desperate amid a standoff between the Democrat-led legislature and Republican Governor Bruce Rauner. Illinois already has $15 billion in overdue bills and the lowest credit rating of any state, and some ratings agencies have warned they will downgrade the rating to junk if there's no budget before the next fiscal year begins in a matter of days, 2 weeks, July 1st. Rauner on Thursday said he was calling lawmakers back to Springfield for a special session after the legislature adjourned May 31st without approving a state spending plan. The third straight year lawmakers have been unable to agree on a budget. Legislators are due at the Capitol on Wednesday, and Rauner said the session will continue through June 30th or until the two sides have a deal. Well, let me give you an idea on how to fix this, because I was just talking about this at length. Property taxes mostly go to paying school, go to schools, public school. And as I've said over and over again, which I also found out very recently, which I didn't know until recently when I read the article, colleges have the same problem. They do the same crap. None of this extra money that they're charging, all this extra tuition, higher tuition, higher tuition, higher tuition. Only a small amount of students come in. So normally if you have more students, you have more money. So that shouldn't be a reason to hike it in tuition because you have more students. That's a good thing. And the other thing was teachers, actual teachers, that hardly went up at all. But what went up massively in the budget, administration costs, new administrators. More fat, more pork, if you will. People standing around doing nothing, getting paid big money, more than teachers, more than the ones teaching our kids to do nothing. And that's what these damn same things are in the public schools. So governor of Illinois, legislators, cut the fat, cut them all down. Principal, vice principal, a few staff, if you will, that's, support staff, superintendent, of course, teachers, done. Vote for me, District 17. Vote for me, District 5. For what? What are you people doing? You're doing nothing. You're costing us a ton of money. Get the hell out of here. You will recover your downfall here shortly by doing that. And then it would work so well, they'd say, oh my gosh, all the states, even though some of us aren't hurting like you guys, we're going to do it anyway so we can have a, positive cash flow for once, or maybe a lot more than we normally have. So on what Zero Hedge says, last week we reported that as Illinois, a state which now faces over $15 billion in backlogged bills, struggles over the next 2 weeks to somehow come up with its first budget in 3 years ahead of a June 30 fiscal year end, and faces an imminent ratings downgrade to junk, the first ever, if that goes down, in U.S. history. Traders finally puked, sending the yield on its bonds surging after a judge ruled at the start of the month that the state is violating consent decrees and previous orders and instructed the state to achieve, quote, substantial compliance with consent decrees, further pressuring its financial situation. In a last-ditch effort or attempt to resolve the ongoing budget impasse and prevent a potential crisis, which may culminate with an eventual default by the distressed state, yesterday the Wall Street Journal reported that Illinois Governor Rauner ordered lawmakers to return for a special session this week, but the two sides still seem far apart. The governor ordered the special session starting Monday as the backlog of unpaid bills reaches $15.1 billion. Quote, everyone needs to get serious and get to work, he said in a video announcing the session that his office posted on Facebook. As reported previously, the state transportation department said it would stop road work, that's the one I covered for you, by July 1st if Illinois entered its third consecutive fiscal year without a budget, the longest stretch of any U.S. state, while the Powerball lottery said it may be forced to dump Illinois over its lack of budget For now, state workers have continued to receive pay because of court orders, but school districts, colleges, and medical and social service providers are under increasing strain. Well, two of them are, the first two are your answer, the public school districts and colleges. And then we have a third and a fourth, medical, which I don't want to include that one, but the fourth one, social services. You mean like welfare kind of stuff? That might be included in there. You know, again, I see three issues that we need to deal with right there. Like I said, Georgia, you guys are going to have to start working now, whether it's, volunteer or whatever. All 8,000 of you that are getting welfare starting on this date, that date came, 80%. Nah, we didn't need it anyways. Well, you can have it back. But I thought you guys really needed the welfare and the help. Nah. When it comes to, we got to work for it? Pfft. Nah, I didn't need it. Didn't really need it. All of a sudden. You know what? Pass that law in every state immediately. Okay? That's what needs to happen here. And yet, despite the sharp sell-off in Illinois GO bonds, which some had expected could force the two sides to reach a bargain, neither the Democrat-led legislator or Republican Governor Bruce Rauner appear close to a consensus, which probably explains today's Associated Press shock piece exposing just how serious the situation could become in under 2 weeks absent a resolution. It focuses on State Comptroller Susana Mendoza, who has had the inevitable job of essentially sitting at the kitchen table trying to figure out how to pay the bills. Again, we discovered that just a minute ago. I don't know what part of we don't know. We are in a crisis mode. The General Assembly and the governor don't understand. This is not a false alarm, she said. Again, the magic tricks run out after a while, and that's where we're at. And as the AP sums it up, it's a new low, even for a state that's seen its financial situation grow increasingly desperate. A state which has a website dedicated to tracking the daily amount of overdue bills. And this has the lowest credit rating of any state, of course. Lawmakers from both parties have acknowledged Illinois needs to raise taxes to make up for revenue lost when a previous tax hike expired, leaving the state on pace to take in $6 billion less than it is spending this year, even without a budget. Let that sink in. What did we just hear? Who's the bailout sucker of last resort? Ready? Lawmakers from both parties have acknowledged Illinois needs to raise taxes to make up for revenue lost. Anyone want to move to Illinois? Anyone leaving your state looking for a better spot to call home? That place is about to look like a bunch of fleas jumping off a dog's back when a dog is getting a flea bath. Flea bath meaning we're raising taxes, the fleas will leave. So you can raise your taxes, causing more people to leave the state, causing more revenue to be lost, which causes you to raise taxes even more on the remaining suckers who stay. This is the equivalent of something I witnessed in 2008 and 9. One of my friends, Jason, the one I told you got into Ethereum recently, we went to lunch with David and he and I. He was telling me, again, 2008-9 time frame, I believe. He had a condo. It was him and his wife at the time. They got a condo and they're going to have their kids and everything. And people were moving out, as in walking away, when they saw how low their condos were going in price, and they said, I'm walking away from this crap. I'm not dealing with this. That you can have it, HOA, whatever fees, the homeowner association, or it's not an HOA, it's something else. The condos have. It's similar to an HOA. Maybe it is the same, whatever. And it was like $80, it was $100, $150, like $200. He's like, it used to be really cheap. And now it's going up and it's doubled. It's like tripled almost. And I said, well, you know why? You gave me the answer. Everybody's leaving. So the last remaining suckers have to foot the bill. And the bill doesn't change. We have to bring in X amount of dollars to deal with this facility in its whole. All the condos, the entire property, we need this much money every single month to just make sure we get the yards mowed, the pool taken care of, the basic stuff. the community, if you will. And when everybody starts jumping ship, and maybe 50% of the people are gone, boy, oh boy, are the remaining 50 about to get screwed. And there's no law, there's nothing that says anywhere you reserve the right to not pay the outrageous fee because yada, yada, yada. Absolutely not. If you were the only remaining house for some reason in an area that had that, your sorry butt would be responsible to probably pay $4,000 or $5,000 a month in fees because you're the only bozo left. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. And he experienced that, not the last one. But I'd say probably a third of the people moved out or something. Just walked. And he was telling me how it kept going up. And then a couple months later, it went up even more. And a couple months later, he's like, so the hell with this. I'm walking. We're leaving. So he walked, and they're trying to send him letters. You owe this back pay for the HOA or whatever the fee's called. And, you know, he finally short sold it, and they just wiped it clean and said, whatever, first forget it. You know, everything's good, whatever. So that was his personal story. So what does the state do? What is a state that finds itself in the similar situation? We have all these things we have to pay for, HOA, if you will, right? The entire state HOA, if you follow me. You know, homeowners association, but living in the state association, you guys owe us this much money. This is what the bills we have. Most of it's going to the school system, colleges, welfare, and we're going to have to. Freaking cats run around here like mad men, or mad men and women, if you will, because there are some female cats. Male cat, 2 female cats. Anyways, what do you tell the people? In order to pay for this and for you to live here, we got to raise taxes. And just like the HOA thing I told you about, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do. We're raising taxes. Oh my God, you've already raised taxes. I'm sorry, we had to. We're raising taxes again. And in the meantime, you're going to find out about all this fraud and corruption and overpaying and overspending. And it's going to drive people to be absolutely pissed off, furious. They're going to want to kill their government officials. Which reminds me, was this on Zero Hedge? Or was it Godlike Productions? Let me just scroll down real quick. Just in case it was... no, it wasn't Zero Hedge. It was something like, you know, 70% of the U.S. now lists government as, you know, very, very displeased and, you know, angry or something at government. And it had all the different industries and, you know, this one, that one, that one, that one. And then it got down to healthcare. It was in the negative, not happy at all. Government took the cake. There was nothing else higher than government. It was healthcare, something else, which I forget, and then government. And government took the cake. We can't stand the government, what they're doing. And that was the general United States, you know, generally speaking. We're just talking about Illinois. So what do? Raise my taxes again, I've had it. Oh, I'm sorry, you're going to sell your house? I bet you're going to get top dollar. I bet there's people breaking the doors down to get into Illinois and buy all the housing once you hear what the tax rates go up to, because that's the only solution. Which I'm kidding. They're not going to be breaking the doors down. People are going to be fleeing. Like I told you recently, some of the high earners have fled there because they're trying to tax the higher, you know, tax the rich. Hedge fund owners, big wigs, they left, went to Florida and other places. The hell with this corporate tax. Get the hell out of here. We're gone. So income down. And on top of that, they're already $15 billion in the hole and growing fast. And on top of that, massive pension unfunded liabilities, as we talked about. And besides that, guess who's paying for all this? Starts with a T. Taxpayer. So picture you living in Illinois. You're in a house, and my house price is pretty good, actually. I could sell today and make some money. Oh, really? Let me give you the best advice of your life. Get the hell out of there. Faster than I said to get the hell out of California the other day. Get the hell out of there and take that money because you're about to be taxed to death. And before everyone figures it out, which they already are, right? They're already doing it, already figuring it out. You could sell your house and get the living hell out of there. Because if you're too late and you ain't got no one coming in wanting to buy, you're now stuck. And you're going to have to do what my buddy did and a million other people did. Walk away from all your house. Yeah, but I got equity. I don't walk away and tell the state to piss off, collect your taxes somewhere else. I'm going to Florida with JSNP or some other state. Maybe Texas is a good one too. But yeah, this is just horrible. They argued that access to health care for the poor and other vulnerable groups was impaired or at grave risk because the state wasn't paying providers, causing them to leave the program. Meanwhile, Comptroller Mendoza says whatever the amount will be, it will likely put Illinois at the point where 100% of revenues must be paid to one of the city's office's core priorities, such as those required by court order. And if this lawsuit doesn't do it, the next court ruling against the state will. In other words, the already insolvent state of Illinois is about to be slammed with another deluge of bills which it can't pay. Then she's not sure what will happen other than more damage. Once the money's gone, and I can't print it, Mendoza said, perhaps envious of the residents of the Mariner Eccles building who have never faced a similar predicament. Or she might be envious of the Federal Reserve. They printed $4.5 trillion to buy up the bank's garbage junk assets. So you know what I would do if I were Illinois? Guys, let's print an absolute crap load. $100 billion in bonds. Hey, Fed. Pop's tripping. He want me to ask you to bail me out. You know I wouldn't trip. What bailout? The bailout for the pensions and the schools and the welfare. The one I've been asking you about. Oh, that bailout. It's right over here, homie. I didn't know you wanted it back. Yeah, it's kind of like both of our bailouts, but we'll just keep it on your balance sheet. Friday, 1996. Chris Tucker. Debo. Take care.